Okay, let's get started there, everybody. Sorry about the late arrival. Um, for those of you that are watching this later on YouTube, yeah, I'm coming in late, but you know, I wanted to kind of get myself a little cleaned up. Not by much, obviously. I haven't like done a full like haircut or anything along those lines. Although I'm really thinking about it. I don't know. I just don't know if long hair is really right for me. But uh, someone someone said that I might look good with it, but I don't know. I'm just maintenance is obviously problematic. I'm sure many ladies would agree. Even the occasional guy that has long hair. So, um, one has to wonder, how exactly do the elves do it? Okay. Um, so, um, yeah, I'm coming in late, so this is going to be a short Pega video. Um, about 15 minutes long or so. So we're only going to cover that last remaining topic, and that's about it. Um, then we got some more videos to upload, and then we got Terraria later on tonight. And we'll see if I'm going to be joining Blackheart or what happens. We'll see. Um, I'm going to assume he's he's on track, so there's no issues there. Okay. Uh, Want to give the standard intro for Pega. I'm not endorsed by Pega, so don't consider this anything related to some kind of corporate thing. I'm not an authorized training partner. This is not an instructor-led training. So if you think any of those at all, don't. Just remove remove it from your mind. Okay, I'm not an instructor. I am just someone that is trying to work towards his certifications. Mainly his system architect certification. Okay, and then I have the I have the opportunity to maybe do the business architect or business analyst as well. Um, but um, you know, so I might be able to answer a couple questions. I was in the industry for a little bit of time, but I'm by far an expert. I welcome anybody that has a number of years of experience in Pega that are instructors or that are part of uh, uh, the Pega Corporation that knows everything and the ins and outs of Pega because I'm going to have questions and I welcome anybody else that has questions to go ahead and put them either in the chat and I'll repeat them or in the comment section when you're watching this video later on my YouTube playlist. Okay, so all right, but with all that out of the way, yeah, I'll be covering Business Architect later. Just have two modules to kind of cover after we get done with the two missions that are side by side. So, or that are the same. So, but we're gonna go into the System Architect, get into the Low Code App Builder Extended because we're getting close to the end. We're not fully there yet, but we're getting close. So, and then we had the last topic within the customizing UI elements, the event processing with action sets. We already did the previous two yesterday, so event processing with action sets. A user interface UI can include controls that allow users to perform certain actions before submitting a form to provide a more interactive user experience. The event action model, actionable controls are based on an event action model, which establishes a cause and effect relationship for a control, such as a checkbox or a button. The event is a trigger caused by user activity, such as a button click or field entry. The action is a response by the application, such as creating a case or displaying information about a field to guide user input. For example, an online retailer wants to allow customers to use the shipping address for an order as the billing address for payment. The form for entering the billing address provides users with a checkbox. When the user selects the checkbox, the application copies the shipping address information to the billing address fields and disables any editing of the billing address fields. When the user clears the checkbox, the application removes any entries in the billing address fields and allows the user to enter an address. In the center of the following image, slide the vertical line to view how the display of the address form changes when the user clicks and clears the checkbox. So with the box clear, you're having both the street and billing, or the shipping and the billing. If it is, where's that? If it is checked, they copy what's over, for the shipping into the billing. So now technically they should have a label here for, you know, this is shipping, this is billing, but whatever. I mean, it gets the point across anyway, so. Alright, the following table lists examples of event action pairs. Click and control such as a button, link, or icon open a new window. Double-click a row in the grid. Allow editing of the contents of the row. Press the Enter key on the keyboard. Display a menu. Select a value from a list of states or provinces. Update the list of office locations. Enter a value in the quantity field. Verify that inventory is sufficient to fulfill the order. So these are examples. Okay. Don't feel like, these are the only things that you can do. Okay. They're just kind of providing, hey, if you enter a value, you know, do you have enough inventory to handle it? You check the database, you see, like, do you have the stock to handle that amount of quantity? So, or maybe you want to limit how many orders a person can make. Like, you might want to say, hey, I just want you to, you can only pick, you can only have one quantity, or that doesn't really make much sense. Like, why would you even have a quantity field if you're just allowing just one value, right? But maybe you want to do like, hey, you can buy up to three, but that's it. You can't purchase any more than that. Now, you still want to check your inventory, but, yeah. Okay, action sets. In Pega platform application, you use an action set to configure an actionable control. An action set consists of one or more events, or one or more actions, and one or more actions. Optionally, you can add conditions or to each action so that the action occurs only when the conditions are met. Um, so, if you have, multiple different, um, if you have like maybe one event, but they have the potential of creating like multiple different actions, maybe there's a specific value in the event that might allow for additional actions to be taken place, right? So that's what this is kind of talking about. Both events and actions can be shared between action sets. As a result, one or more events can trigger an action. An event can trigger more than one set of actions. When configuring more than one action set, avoid configuring conflicting behavior for an event. So, for example, if you were to say, um, um, what's a good example of that? Um, like you're trying to do like maybe the shipping billing address, but when you click on the checkbox, it it's supposed to disable everything, but maybe you have another action in there that allows you to still edit the fields afterwards. That kind of thing. That potential. Obviously, that's probably not going to necessarily happen. Pega might just say, hey, wait, no, you can't necessarily do that. These two actionable events, are, directly counter to each other. So they may say, hey, you can't do that. But still, it's one of those things that, you might want to make sure, you don't have happen. That kind of thing. Oh boy, we still got a long ways to go. In the following image, click the plus icons to explore how an action set can populate the billing address fields on the form when submitting an order to an online retailer. So, identifier identifies the action set. Action sets are evaluated in numerical order, starting with the action set 1. Event, the trigger for the action set. In this example, the identified action occurs when the user changes the status of a checkbox control by either clicking or clearing the checkbox. Events are organized into 3 categories. Mouse events, events triggered by one of the following actions performed with the mouse or other pointing device. Keyboard events, events triggered by pressing one of the following keys on the keyboard. Other events, events that do not fall into another category, such as maybe voice command or something like that. You know, um, when selecting an event, verify that the selected event is appropriate for both the control and the intended device. For example, a hover event does not work with a mobile device. Well, I mean, you could, but it's not like the best. Um, you might want to do something more along the lines of, you know, like a push button kind of thing, you know. But obviously, you want to like configure the application based off of the particular device, right? So, like if you have the application that's applicable to both like the PC and the mobile, you want to design it so that it works, you know, well with the PC, hover event, and on the mobile where you just want to switch that hover event to maybe just like a quick event that opens up a little sub window or something like that. Click event works best with controls that maintain a single state, such as buttons and not checkboxes. Um, oh wait, they haven't gone through everything here yet. Applicability. Ha, I can say that word. Yeah. Determines when the action set is applied. Action sets can be configured for use only when a field is in the editable state, read-only state, or both states. Action. The action and actions performed when the specific event occurs. An action may require that you provide values for needed parameters. In this example, the action sets the values for the listed billing address fields using the values of the um, analogous shipping address fields. Other options include refreshing the current view, presenting a menu to the user, and completing the current assignment. If an action set lists multiple actions, actions occur in the order listed, starting with the topmost action in the action set. Any implicit action triggered by a listed action is completed before the system moves on to the next action. For example, a button is configured with an action set that contains 2 actions: set value to set the value of a field, and local action to prompt the user with an action performed before the user can submit the form. The set value action triggers an implicit post value action which updates the form and triggers the calculation of any dependent expression. So the post value action occurs before the system prompts the user with the action to perform. So here's a lot of the actions. So, and then we got conditions. Any condition that must be met before the action occurs. In this example, if the checkbox is in the selected state, the application copies the values from each shipping address field to the corresponding billing address field. If the checkbox is cleared, the action copy values from the shipping address field does not occur. Multiple conditions can be combined using either a Boolean and or an or operator. Now, um, what you want to make sure though that um, if the if the change is going back to unselected, you want to clear everything. You know, you don't want to you don't want to allow for the you know, like if you click it once, it copies all the shipping address down to the bottom fields. But if you unclick it, you know, leaving them there is just going to be kind of annoying for whomever didn't want to do that. So check your knowledge with the following interaction. Which of the following statements about action sets is correct? Conditions are applied to the entire action set. I don't know if that's true. Only a single action set can be configured for control. No. Um, an action set can include multiple events and multiple actions. Okay. I mean, that sounds like the closest one there. An action set can be applied only to an editable control, and I don't think that's correct either. So I think, yeah. So, so that's what I wasn't 100% sure on this because I was going, wait, an action set can include multiple events? I mean, I know multiple events can call on like different actions and the like, but you know, uh, an action set is that? But it's weird. It's a weird. Um, I guess what I'm kind of um, weirded out by is that when I hear action set, I think multiple actions right off the top because a set is like, a set basically contains, like multiple different values, within that grouping, right? You know, 1, 2, 3 could be considered like a set, right? Um, so, um, but I didn't really think of putting events within the action set, if you get my thinking on that. So, um, I don't know. I feel that they probably could have done with like another different wording for this to include both the events and the actions, um, without having the word kind of attribute itself to both, or to have the word attribute itself to both, but you know, not necessarily reference either one. That's my thinking, but oh well. Action set optimization. When configuring an action set, consider how the user experience and data are affected by refresh actions and calls to the server. For example, the user flow is interrupted when the user has to wait for a screen to refresh or return to a previous screen manually. Refresh a section when property values are updated on the server, and the UI needs to reflect the new values. An action that causes a change to more than one property that occurs only on the client, such as deleting a row, must be submitted. Parts of the UI require removal from the document object model, DOM, because of other input. Do not refresh a section when you need to submit user input. Instead, use a post value action. You need to call a data transform or an activity after a user action. You need to recalculate visibility, enable disable state, or read-only state. Select the evaluate on client checkbox next to the expression field. Use a refresh when action whenever possible to declare dependencies. To maintain accurate data, use a refresh when action for read-only references that need to remain synchronized with data on the server. For example, refresh a hotel details section that needs to be updated only when the hotel location changes. When a refresh when is not possible, use a refresh other section action, which is a targeted refresh. For example, if you have editable references that are updated based on other input or based on untrackable inputs, such as button clicks, use a refresh other section. This is not 5 minutes long. Uh, this is more than 5 minutes. I'm sorry. There's a lot here. Okay. Consolidating actions in the action set. Each action in the action set generates at least one HTTP request to the server and runs in the sequential order of configuration. To optimize the actions and reduce the number of HTTP requests to the server, use the following best practices. If the pre-activity or pre-data transform runs in the same context as the section refresh, configure them in the refresh section action. Modify the content of your pre-activity if needed when running in the context of the refresh action section. Use wrapper activity or wrapper data transform to consolidate all the actions. In the center of the following image, slide the vertical line to review how the actions in an action set can be consolidated into a wrapper activity. Without a wrapper activity, run on action. With wrapper activity, refresh the section based off of the activity there. Differentiating between post and refresh section actions. By default, just to let everybody know, I kind of started this stream a little over 25 minutes ago, and I'm still in this particular topic. Now, granted, I got a little late, with um, explaining everything, but I mean, that intro might have taken me, what, 10 minutes? So, um, by default, a refresh section action sends all the pending changes applied to a form back to the server. There is no need to use a post value action before a refresh section action, such as refresh the section action. A post action value action will update the server and force all the refresh when conditions to reevaluate. One post value action can affect several sections using when conditions. Use one post value action instead of using a refresh section for each one of these sections. Using a post value action to refresh all the sections also avoids hard coding the section name in the action set when using a refresh other section. For example, in a vehicle purchase application, a user enters their customer ID to view additional accessories. When a customer ID value changes, the conditions on two sections are evaluated against stored customer data, such as elite membership status, active membership length, and total vehicle purchases. The exclusive lifestyle accessories section refreshes only when the valid customer ID is associated with a user who has purchased 3 or more vehicles. An elite car accessories section refreshes only when a valid customer ID belongs to a user who has been an active elite member for more than 10 years. At the center of the following image, slide the vertical line to compare the view displayed for an invalid user with the view displayed for an elite member. So here's the um, invalid customer ID, and here's for the elite customer ID. Now, if I was um, if I was writing this up, first off, I would remove that red X mark because that that sucks. I wouldn't want to see that on my customer ID. That screams. What customer ID are you putting in? That's not our customer ID. Why are you putting that customer ID in there? Even though I might actually have one. And second, I'd remove these two fields completely. Why should I see these if I'm not an elite member? Don't show me this, you know, because I don't need to see, oh, hey, you're not elite enough, so, here's what you might be missing out on, or, something along those lines. It's like, um, it's, it's like those stories when you have someone that is like filthy rich, walks in with jeans and a t-shirt into like one of the richest, clothing stores imaginable, and um, the person that works there looks at the person, with a smug look and goes, "Can I help you?" You know, and it's like, yeah, that guy could be like the owner of the store, and it's like, no, you can't, and you're fired. That kind of thing, right? It's like, you know, don't don't do this. This is just ugh, bad design in my particular opinion. The run activity, run data transform, and set value actions do not send the changes made to a form back to the server. If you want to pass some of the changes that are made on a form to an activity or a data transform, you need to pass them as parameters. Okay, so that topic is done, finally. So I'm going to move on to the module quiz. I'm going to finish off that module quiz. Um, and then I'll shut everything down. So, okay. End users can clear selections on a form and view the previous actions on the case. How can you configure the action set on a button to achieve this result? Hmm. Okay, so obviously they're doing a lot of, refresh action view history, right? So, um, let's take a look at this. Okay, so first thing is we need to clear the form, right? And then, view the previous actions on the case. Okay, so first should be configure a click event with a refresh action. That should be the first, and that's these first two are good. Configure a click event with a view history action. Nope, that's incorrect. Configure a refresh event with a click action. Um, no, that huh? No, that's wrong sequence, or that's you're you're clicking on a button to trigger the refresh. How are you going to get the refresh otherwise? All right. So these two are out. The last two you can get rid of. Next, add a view history action to the event. So far, the first one looks correct. But let's look at this next one. Next, configure a double click event and a view history action. Why would anyone want to do a double click event on the button when it doesn't even state that it needs a double click event? If they said double click event to view history, then they would have specified that. So the first one should be the correct answer, which it is. So we move on. Okay, drag the appropriate attribute to the use case scenario. So, um, okay, so we have required, we have visible, and we have disabled. Um, so a customer must fill out their address in order to proceed to the next page. That's required. Um, a promotion is available when a shopper has spent $100. The apply promotion button is grayed out until there is $100 in the merchandise in the cart. So that is the disabled. When the user selects mobile as their preferred communication method, a mobile phone number field is displayed. So that field and that number field becomes visible. So that should be correct. Given that the event is a trigger, Given that an event is a trigger caused by user activity and an action is a response by the application, which of the following sets represent action sets? Event to the action in Pega platform. Choose two. So tab key, add new work. Weird. Open mobile app, focus. I could see that. Run data transform, enter. No. Double click equal goes to scan barcode QR code. Hmm. I don't think this really works very well here because the double click is more of an action, but hmm. I mean, it's still technically an event. Um, but the third one doesn't really work, and the first one kind of works. I mean, the first one and the last one are both kind of the same in that, do you consider a double click or the tab key as the event? I'm gonna go with double click on this one, because it doesn't necessarily say, pressing the tab key or anything along those lines. So, oh, they say that the first one that I selected is wrong. Focus is a trigger, not an action. Huh? Oh, okay. So they're basically saying that focus is more of an event than the action. So, okay. So then it has to be both of those then. All right. Which two of the following statements are true about user interface elements? Um, Within an application, each control type can only have one defined style. Formats for control types can only be reused across a case type. Predefined formats for a button include standard, simple, and strong. Autocomplete is an example of basic control available out of the box. So, um, that's true. Um, and I think that one is also true. Yeah. So, um, so the reasoning was I was looking at the first one here was within an application, each control type can only have one defined style, and that that doesn't seem true. You should be able to have like multiple different styles. You can create like uh, you can mix and match. So you shouldn't necessarily be limited to only one defined style. Formats for control types can only be reused across a case type. Um, and that I'm not quite sure how to explain. I found that this is incorrect. Um, but it's normally like, formats are something that, you should be able to like, reuse whenever you want to. Um, so the fact that it says only be reused feels off to me. So that's why I wasn't really filling either one of those two. Um, Now this autocomplete, is a basic control. We already learned that. But what was kind of throwing me off was the available out of the box. Not quite sure exactly what they meant by that per se, but whatever. All right, we finish, and hopefully it's 100%. Not sure. That third question threw me for a loop, so hey, there we go. Okay, so that's it for our Pega studying. Um, yeah, that took longer than 5 minutes. That's for sure. So I don't know what the heck they were talking about there, but um, we're gonna go ahead and switch on over to some uh, video uploads. So um, for everybody that is watching me, stream right now, um, wait, be patient. And for those of you that are watching this on YouTube at a later date, I want to thank you all for joining me on this. Feel free to, you know, help this creator out, by doing the, normal YouTube stuff that you basically hear everybody ask for. So, that would be fantastic if you can. Um, share it around because every, every little bit helps, you know, especially for a new, well, I say new, but I've been uploading videos for a long time now. So, but, you know, um, I welcome more and more people to come on in, and hopefully they'll enjoy all the VODs that I do. So, um, but yep, that's it. So, thank you very much for watching, and I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording.